Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sessions Cafe, brought to you by Entrigue magazine. I'm your host, Keri Singleton, and today we welcome back to the show Khaliah Clark. How are you, sister?
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad that you're here. We had a lot going on last week in terms of conversation, so let's just jump back into it. You're a fashion stylist. So let's talk about clothes.
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
So you were a sales rep for Full Force Sales with Ozzy Stewart.
That's who gave me my break.
Now that's not Full Force, the production team,
no,
my homies.
That was just the name of her company.
Okay.
Ozzy Stewart, amazing woman, broke me into sales. So
Okay.
Started at sales, and that's it.
Okay. Right. As I go through my cards.
Yeah, sales was interesting. If I would have known what I've known now, I would have stayed in sales. It's a very lucrative, because when I came
Explain to me what sales are.
When I started in sales I worked for Ozzy Stewart, and she repped brands like Karl Kani, Bougie, which was Busta Rhymes' brand just as it launched, and a brand called Heaven or Hell.
Dirty Denim collection.
Right, well that was Rough Riders Dirty Denim. That was later on.
Okay.
And I just would call up the different stores and try to sell them the different merch, the different lines that I was...
like a Macy's or a...
No, it would be a specialty store. So the mom and pop stores.
Okay. Boutiques and stuff like that? Okay.
And I started there, and then I was like, I don't like this. I have to call people up and solicit myself.
Okay.
I was like, this is not fun. But all those people who stood in sales made millions of dollars, because that's when streetwear was booming.
Right.
So if you were a rep for Ed Hardy or all those people in sales, think about how much money those people made during the time. Even Karl Kani. If you sold Karl Kani when it was hot, you were getting 7%, 7%. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money back then.
Back then, yeah.
Bala Apparel. Baller. No, we don't want you to tap.
Sorry, tap.
Because we don't want those. You guys got to see the shoes she's wearing. But anyway, Baller Apparel. Okay, so I got to pronounce it. Baller Apparel. Baller Apparel. Well, spelled Balla.
And everybody used to call it Bala. Bala. Yep. Great brand.
What was that like?
Shout out to Dwayne Brown, Theodore. So I met Dwayne when I worked for Anthony Otima and Carlos Vasquez over at Rough Riders Dirty Denim. He came and not stole me, but just gave me the opportunity. You know what I mean? And took me to Magic. That's how I went to my first Magic show, which is in Las Vegas. That's a huge trade show with 1 million brands. That's when I really fell in love with fashion, because when you go and you see all those brands under one umbrella, you're just like, oh my God, and you just see 1 million people and everybody's trying to sell you something. Are you a buyer? Are you this? And then that's how I found out the different facets in fashion. You could be a buyer, you could be a sales, be a model, you could be marketing.
It's a lot of different components. So at least you got your education there.
I got my education. Everything is from the streets. I can't say that I'm a college graduate from any HBCU.
Yeah, you didn't go to FIT, Fashion
I didn't go to FIT. I didn't go to any of the fashion schools, but I've been blessed to speak at most of them. And it's my whole story is doing everything they said I couldn't do.
Right. That's what I'm talking about, including hosting Urban Fashion Week in Miami.
Urban Fashion.
That must have been.
Yeah, the main event. We started it here in New York. The guy's name is Casey Rose. I used to work for Baby Fat. He had the Inn. So we started the Urban Fashion main event here in New York. So we did brands like Echo, Baby Fat, just opening the doors for streetwear, because we didn't really have too many. This was before they did the Rip the Runway and all that. So we tried to be the main event to give people an opportunity to come out and see a real fashion show with people like us.
Right, yeah. Okay. And in 2004, you were the venue manager for Kimora Lee Simmons' fashion show at Radio City.
Baby Fat. That was huge. And that goes all to my friend Patricia McNamee, who was over at Baby Fat. She was the plug there, and she would hire me as the venue manager. And the biggest show to date was the Kimora Lee for Radio City. I actually got that title to work at 2 other fashion shows, but that was her biggest fashion show. And to be able to be venue manager, that means you're in charge of the whole venue. Right. Front of house, back of house. You approve, you get to tell the fire marshal, no,
right. Yep.
They got to get in. This is do or die.
Right.
So yeah, that was a really huge opportunity for me, which looks great on my resume and gets me jobs to this day.
I was going to say your resume must be looking quite fat nowadays.
My resume is like a documentary. Because when I try to write it, you try to compile years. I'm trying to compile 20 years.
Right.
I'm actually now, I was trying to get into the costumer, like to be a costumer. So that's when you work on the sets for like TV, film. So doing that, I had to compile all the shows and stuff that I worked on prior to get into the union. And that was funny because me and one of my friends, shout out to Eric Santiago, we kind of have like the same resume, and
right.
he was referring me for the job. I'm like, I hope I get the job because they're gonna think I like copied your resume.
Right, like you copied and pasted or something. Yeah. Let's pivot a little bit.
Don't try to make me cry again.
Well, I don't try. It
happens. Right?
I just talk. With all of the glamour that comes along with being a fashion stylist, a celebrity stylist, a product placement queen, what are your thoughts on the perception of women and men using couch casting in fashion?
Well, I'll tell you this.
And explain
the casting couch. You know who taught? You know what's so funny? You know how I learned about the casting couch was from Sydney Pickett. You know the lady that was in Brewster Place. She was in The Mother in Angela Bassett's. What was that movie? The one we never. But you know what I mean. Amazing woman, amazing actress. I was with the legendary photographer Ernie Pala. I'm saying his name so wrong. Please don't hit me, Ernie. But Ernie P, we'll call him. And she told me, because it was my first shoot, he was test shooting me, and she said, no matter what you do in this business, do not let them get you on the casting couch.
Now explain, without tapping your shoes, I'm trying to get you to explain to everyone, because her shoes are making so much sensual.
It's
like that erotica. I'm thinking erotica from Madonna. The whole.
It is.
It's
patent leather.
Anyway, whatever. It's beautiful though. Casting couch. Explain what it is though.
A casting couch is where you.
Some people really don't know.
No, it's where they invite you up. It's like a setting like this, and
wait, but it's not this setting.
Not this setting, but it's wherever they invite you in that room to discuss the deal, and that deal sometimes is the couch, where it's like they'll say, well, would you like to be, we have this job for you, Khaliah, and you're like, okay, what's the job? And then you're a celebrity fashion stylist, and then 2 minutes later they're attacking you and sexually, or they make a pass at you, and then you have to determine, do you go all the way in and get the job, so you think, or
you still might not get the job. You
may not get the job. I don't suggest the casting couch at all. From my previous experiences, I will say it exists. It's a real thing, and choose wisely, because if you're in that position, it's obviously not a good position. I obviously say, from my experience, just walk away, because it never turns out good. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
So you have been invited to the casting couch. So I'm going to ask you. You know where this is going. I'm going to ask.
You're going to say if Diddy invited me to the couch? Oh, okay.
No, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
You have been invited to the casting couch. Did you ever accept an invitation?
Oh, no, not with the person that invited me to a casting couch.
Okay.
No.
I had to ask.
I've never experienced it. Okay, no, rewind. I've been invited to the casting couch, and I didn't succumb to that particular casting situation. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. In life, I've been presented some opportunities, and you gotta live and learn to be able to. So I've experienced it.
You've experienced things. Yeah. I mean, because in this industry, and I'm referring to the entertainment industry, I've been in the music business all my adult life. I've it's definitely a thing. It's a thing.
It's a real thing.
It's part of the game.
It's
really.
a real thing.
And you have to determine, male or female, whether or not you're going to play the game, and because even if you play it, it doesn't necessarily mean
there's no winning. Let me tell you something. As a woman in this game, if I could go back, because it's all a learning experience, you got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. Be careful about who you talk about, because what you think is not always true. And until you go through it for yourself, don't ever judge the next man or the next woman.
Right.
Perception versus truth is big in our industry, and
Absolutely.
know that is very big in our industry.
Right.
Thank you. It brought me back. I was like, woo.
Celebrities who you've worked for.
You want me to start listing?
It's not a huge list. We don't want
I did Carmen Electra, was one of my favorite. Everybody knows me through Method Man because I've done a lot of product placement. Big shout out to Hands the Great, my homegirl Santa Miller. She's an artist. She was an artist. And through her, that's how I got connected with the whole Wu-Tang. Had I not styled Santa Miller in her beginning of her career as an independent artist, who, by the way, everybody should always follow this young lady. She's, to this day, as an independent artist, one of the only independent artists that I've ever worked with that always came with the bag. Whatever the budget was, no questions asked.
Right, okay. Who else?
Let's see, Little Mama. Who else? What did I recently? There's a young man, his name is Jared Chocolate Jared Crawford. He's from the Bring the Noise, Bring the Funk. Okay. Because of him, I've done so much. And we just did the U.S. Open recently.
Nice. Wow.
So that was a huge thing to style his whole set. He did the rendition of the Alicia Keys. The performance for the U.S. Open. That was huge. So.
Okay. Before we go to break, I'm going to ask you, who are your best clients? And when I say best, meaning most... well, thank you. But most enjoyable, most easy to work with, and or the most fun to transform out of their comfort zone.
I love styling new artists.
Okay.
I love working. I just worked with Method Man's daughter, Shy. I just broke his son into modeling. I'm watching him just transform and being into modeling. That's fun. All men that I dress are super fun because you guys are super easy, and it's fun to just watch you guys come out of gray sweatpants. I started thinking, I get flustered.
She loves gray sweatpants.
I just love to see men come out of their clothes. I'm sorry. Pause, because I don't want you guys to think I can't dress you and be professional.
But best clients, you say Method Man?
Yeah, best clients is Method Man, Hands the Great, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't get to work with Method Man repeatedly.
And why Method Man, though?
Because I was a fan of his first.
Okay.
And it was the only artist at the time that I felt like that was my pinnacle. So him and Redman, more so Method Man because I loved Method Man, but I always just wanted to work with people I knew, I still saw. So it's once I got to work with him, because everybody knew that I loved him as a fan, that was my favorite rapper of all time, I felt I completed my plateau, because that's anybody. That was my favorite star.
Right. Okay. And we'll be right back with more from Khaliah Clark after this. And we're back here on Sessions Cafe with Khaliah Clark. So I asked you before the break, who were your best clients, who were your favorite clients? So of course we gotta take the flip side of it, and I gotta ask, who are the worst clients? Let me define what the worst client criteria is. Hard to work with, difficult, didn't bring the bag, maybe a little bit of ego, all of those things.
Well, I'm not gonna say their exact name.
Yeah, you don't have to say their names. But you can explain the scenario.
Right. I don't have to say their name, right?
No.
Okay.
You can.
Right. Well, one was this young lady who is quite famous now.
Mm-hmm.
She was very difficult. Comes from the foster home, and that's her story, that she came from a foster home. And her management at that time, because she was so hot, I think they were just utilizing everybody, like every stylist that wanted to work with them.
Yeah.
So she was a lot, and that really.
When you say a lot, come on.
A lot is like, just
give
was
it
very,
to us.
very picky. And
Okay.
I feel like when you don't have a budget, you really can't be picky.
Right,
It's like you have caviar taste,
Right.
and then you didn't even bring chicken. You
Right.
didn't even give us water.
You can't get a slice of
You
pizza.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you didn't even have a pad. You
Right.
know what I mean? Things
Right.
like that.
Right.
And then
Did you work with her again?
I literally just recently got asked to present a storyboard to her, and
Okay.
I passed. I didn't even really call back because I just
Okay.
thought about it. I'm like, not that I want to miss the opportunity, but I
Right.
just feel like I'm at a point in my life, I guess because I'm an older woman now, I'm not as young as the younger stylist. I'm not chasing anyone.
Right,
I'm not doing
exactly.
that. So it's like either you're going to pay me for my expertise or just we're not going to do this at all.
Okay.
Another person that I didn't have a great experience with was a young lady who winded up, her family was so involved in it.
Her career?
Like in her career,
Okay.
and they were so new to the game that they winded up stealing a $5,000 ring from me that I was held liable for.
Whoa.
And it took me like almost 3 years to pay off. And I run into this young woman now quite frequently, and she's like, you still do it? You're still in the game? And I'm like, yeah.
Does she know?
She actually, this is a young woman who went on stage and disrupted Alicia Keys and Jay-Z performance.
Ooh.
So you know that story, then you know who I'm talking about.
And I know that young lady.
Right.
I thought she was.
She's great. Her
people.
mother actually, I was one of the only stylists that I could
Whoa.
say that her mom would say, take care of my daughter, like I trust you. But it was, like I said, it wasn't her per
Right.
se, it was her
her
family. She had
Right.
so many people everybody was trying to be something to her that I got lost in the mix trying to be so cool. That's another artist that I would, at my biggest regret was ever running behind her to try to be her stylist. When
Yeah.
she was hot, when that lip gloss was popping, yes,
The tea has been spilled.
there you go. You
Okay.
got me for $5,000.
Wow. Dream clients.
Dream clients.
Yeah.
I would love to,
Living or deceased?
Okay, well, deceased, I would have always wanted to work with Aaliyah. Like, that was
Okay.
just, when she died, like, the kids on my block rallied up, like, did you ever get to work with her? And things like that. So that would have been a dream. Khaliah just
Yeah, that was,
fit.
yeah.
Now, if I could work with anybody, I definitely wanted to work with Doja. Doechii is everything. I live for her.
Okay.
Alexis Isley, I love her. There's just like so many fun people that I would love. Oh, Lorenz, call me. Lorenz.
And what about outside of the whole music, hip hop spectrum?
Oh, I would love to date. I would date.
Actors,
I said I would love to date. Excuse me. I would like to style just like a judge,
Okay.
CEO of a bank.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people with real money.
Okay.
Like
we might have to pull that together because
yes, I would love to like like a judge, a prime minister,
Yeah.
a princess from a
Right,
country. Like I would love that. That's
Okay.
some dream clients right there.
Speaking of dream clients, you probably don't know this. Why are you making that face?
Because I get excited when
You probably don't know this, but throughout the history of my former radio show, and even now going into the fifth season, we're in our fifth season now of Sessions Cafe. You have worked with an artist who I have been dying to interview forever and a day. I think he is a phenomenal actor. He's got a hell of a story. I've been very close to his circles, but for the love of God, I cannot get J.D. Williams
Really?
on my show.
Oh, I'm gonna make that happen.
You've got to. I've reached out to his people, And I reached out to him. I even followed him on Instagram, or Twitter, I think it was, X.
JD, we're gonna make that happen.
Yeah.
He's so.
Kenny from Oz. Like most people know him from The Wire.
Right.
But I became a fan of his from the series.
And that was my
Oz.
first celebrity client. So
Wow.
let me take that back. I'm sorry, JD. You are my favorite client because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even have been able to navigate in the industry because he was on the hottest show at that moment.
The Wire. Yeah.
And I actually went to Baltimore when they were taping The Wire, got to go on set with him.
Wow.
Got to dress him, like bringing him, his everyday clothes, whatever, because they had already had a wardrobe department. But JD's story is phenomenal.
That's what I'm saying.
And I don't make many promises to you, but I will make that happen for you.
He's from Newark. You're both from New Jersey.
Yes. And he's the most approachable, downhearted, best, relatable, reliable. Like, he is the best. And thank you from the bottom of my heart, JD, for just being my first. Like, he was my first celebrity client that let me run and say, because everybody was connected to him. But he would say, no, Khaliah Clark is my stylist.
I really want that brother on the show.
I got you.
So, and see, again,
when I go and pick out my phone and call him and be like, hey.
I became a fan of his from Oz. That was one of my favorite shows.
I don't feel like he's gotten his flowers. I really hope that, let's manifest this for him while he comes on the show too. Yeah. I really pray for people like him because JD is one of those underrated, phenomenal actors who, if you really paid attention, he's in everything. Sopranos,
exactly.
He's really done his thing. So big shout out to him and thank you again for all you've done for me.
This is the perfect place for him to get his flowers. He needs to come on down and
he's coming.
Who's styling who?
Who's styling who?
I see the earrings. What is Who's Styling Who?
Who's Styling Who was created by me for all the stylists, designers, brands. My goal was to get on these red carpets and be like, who's styling you? And that's still gonna happen. It's where Joan Rivers left off. It's Fashion Police meets every day because we're gonna crucify you too if you don't look good. It was just really, really to just open the door. We didn't have. They always say create something that didn't exist. So 12 years ago, now 13, I created Who's Styling Who, and Shampoo from YNVS gave me the opportunity to be his co-host, and I just ran with it. I've been on several stations that we've bumped into each other, but DTF was how we met. But I've been on DTF, PNC Radio is really the Stapleton for me for the show, Chop Shop Show. Big shout out to Alex. It's Who's Styling Who is who's styling who? Like, what are you wearing? Who?
And
it's so funny because now with all these kids that are doing like the drip fit and all that, that really comes from Who's Styling Who, even though you haven't seen it. But trust me, I've been doing this.
I would love to see you on television.
I would love to be on television.
I would love for you to have a Who's Styling Who. I've been pushing for this now for about a year.
Let's go.
Ever since we met on radio, at DTF Radio in New York City. I really feel like your knowledge of fashion is one thing, but your charisma and your personality is infectious.
Oh, that's the second time someone's called me infectious.
It's really, really magnetic.
So you should be my executive producer and let's go.
I already have this show.
It doesn't matter. Two shows.
Well,
let's do it.
Let's make it
Roger
happen.
McKenzie, he was supposed to be my executive producer, the man that gave me a career. But everybody's busy.
Yeah.
And if I have one wish, if I'm going ahead, if I can have one wish, it would be to bring a team together.
Yeah.
Tell everyone about me that would really pour into me having my own couch that you don't have to cast to get it on my show.
A team is so important. It's so important. I mean, we could go on for days about that.
I don't have one, so.
But it's important to have a great team. And I really think that you would have an awesome show just because you would know what to talk about. I could see you with a whole coat rack behind you and
be like, what's this? What's this?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my show was, but I tried to do it in radio and you couldn't even see, but I tried.
Right.
I tried to bring the visuals. So, I'm pouring into fruition this year. This year that I'm really, because this year that's all I'm focusing on is just me, straight me.
Yo,
so
let's make it happen. I'd love to be a part of it.
Please, executive producers, you heard this.
And you know who would also be a really, really dope component to your show?
Who?
A Mike Connor.
Oh, okay.
That brother right there, from East Orange now.
Okay.
A fellow Jerseyan.
Okay.
Would be, I think it would be a great.
I'm excited.
What is a product placement queen?
It's a person that gets. Oh, I gave that name myself, first of all. But what I do is I get a bunch of product from brands and I place it on celebrities. It's brand awareness. It's taking brands and really putting them in the forefront. A lot of people want to see them on red carpet, but I try to sell it to the everyday person, which would be you. And you're more than an everyday person, but just people that have visuals. So like I would sell, you need to dress Keri, he has his own TV show. You need to dress this person because they have this. He's standing there. I dress drug dealers because they're standing on the corner for a lot of hours.
For a lot of hours.
People are asking you, where'd you get that sweater from? It's like, it's funny, but it's true. Like they're
real mannequins.
I go after the everyday person. Like I dress doctors and lawyers and here, put this cardigan on, put this polo shirt on, especially if it means something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't follow trends, I create
them. Speaking of meaningful things, Ms. Clark, so in 2023, you were presented with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. What was that moment like for you?
Oh my God, it changed my life. Please only address me as such.
Right.
That you changed my life. I've gotten a couple of awards, but that one, man, I could pull that sucker out right now and it just changes the setting and the atmosphere of the room. It really does. Like I literally just showed somebody it the other day and they're like, but what are you gonna do with this? Like, what does this mean now? I said, well, first let's look at it again.
Right.
What do you think it means?
Right.
It's exactly what it says.
Right.
And it's so funny because I see other people get them and I'm like, am I part of that?
Yes, you are. And we're all part of a collective.
This is it changed my life. It's to me, it was like the golden ticket that you can get. It's to me the biggest accolade I've ever gotten. And from the bottom of my heart, it's like, I could die right now. Got the Life Achievement Award from the president.
You definitely deserved it, but
thank you so
much.
Know,
I was definitely honored to nominate you for it, and floored to be able to present it to you at your church.
Man,
we have to close out, but I do have one question.
Tell me.
Give me 1 minute. What's next for Khaliah Clark?
What's next? If God sees fit. My TV show. That's what I really want. That's what's next. More shows around the world. Really getting a production company behind me and taking Styling, the brand, and showcasing it. Because you just pretty much were the first. It's a story. It's a young girl who had a dream, and the dream, she's living it. And I just want to be able to help young girls and inspiring models and designers and they have a home to tell their story.
Right. And I think you'd be the perfect hostess for that home.
Yes, Oprah, come on.
Yeah, so.
Come on, Queen Latifah.
I will just say this in closing. I adore you. I love your spirit. I love your energy. I see great things for you. I'm always there for you. You want to do a show, we're going to do a show. The seed has been planted right here on this episode in 2025 for Stying, coming to the screen.
Near
Love to see it.
And I just want to say one thing to you. Since the day I met you, you said it's not by accident. You have been a prominent person in my career to always keep my name in the rooms that I'm not in, and to always, always, always tell people about me and my brand. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. God bless you. Much success with Sessions Cafe, but more success with you as a person. God bless you. God bless your mother.
Thank you.
And your story is amazing. And I'm glad that you've told it with the number of books that you've told. And I hope to just inspire like you inspire.
Well, thank you. That's what friends are for.
Keep smiling.
That's what friends are for. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching Sessions Cafe.